Well, the only thing he's got going for him now is it's overcast. Not going to be as hot as it should have been.
There's the gate. It drops as you get a look at the roost there, and this is the Honda helmet cam on Rich Taylor as they go into that first turn.
Awesome start for Larry Ward on the inside. Greg Albertyn right there with him. You see riders getting pushed wide and all this dust. I mean, it's very crucial to get a good start and keep your vision like this. Stay out of all this mess.
Here we go down a 3-story drop in elevation. There you get a good look from Taylor's cam. And David, when you hit the ground right there, how hard is it to maintain control of that bike?
Well, it's a big G-force right there, but the main thing is you want to land just before the bottom so you can still catch that downside and it's not such a force on you. You can't do that every lap.
Well, Larry Ward, 24 years old, out of Florence, South Carolina, got the whole shot, but the world champion, Greg Albertyn, is coming right up on him. Also in there is number 15, Kyle Lewis. A great start for him, but as we come around that sweeper, Larry Ward has the lead.
Well, he's got clean sailing right now. He's got Albertyn pressuring him, but you know, as I look back into the field, I don't see any of the real favorites. McGrath, Kiedrowski, Larocco, I don't see any of those guys. The only guy that looks like a threat is Doug Henry. He's about 4th or 5th right now.
Right now, you've got Larry Ward out front. On the inside, though, comes Albertyn. He gets the traction and squirts by into the lead. And in his qualifying heat this morning, David, once Albertyn got the lead, he was long gone.
We're going to get another look at this pass. Larry Ward just drifts over that berm. Albertyn goes to the inside. Really, it was pretty simple. Larry Ward just left the door wide open, and now Albertyn's got clean sailing, and he's going to be roosting these guys. They're going to have to pick different lines to keep them getting roosted, and look at that double jump.
Oh, man, that's great. That's up the elevator, and then you said, what, about 50 miles an hour, you have to hit that jump, then you've got to get hard on the brakes, downshifting in midair, make that right-hand turn. But this is the battle for second place, and look, here comes the number 1 plate of Larocco, and also number 24, Ezra Lusk, has moved into the 5th position, and back about 8th or 9th, it looked like Kiedrowski. So Kiedrowski did not get off to a very good start.
And neither did Jeremy McGrath. You saw him buried back there behind those guys. And John Dowd, who was 2nd here last year overall, looks to be a favorite for the outdoors. Both these guys are going to have to carve their way through the pack.
Well, they come back through, and there you see Albertyn. Look at that. The ones. You've got 111. Albertyn is 1st. 2nd, 11, Larry Ward. Number 1, Mike Larocco getting a challenge from Kyle Lewis. Now, they swapped positions before they came around to the finish because Kyle Lewis was running 3rd, Larocco 4th, but now Larocco has taken over that 3rd spot.
It's still early in the race, and Larocco has the speed to go to the front. But I think it's important for him just to try to move up there as soon as he can and keep in contact with those 2 leaders and make sure they don't get away. Ezra Lusk, who's currently running 5th right now, crashed in his qualifier, had to come from behind. And anytime you've got 2 motos, that's hard enough physically. When you got to come out of a qualifier when you're riding that hard, I would look for him to tire toward the end of the race.
Someone who showed a propensity for not tiring but getting stronger as the motos wore on certainly was Mike Larocco last year. Now we get a good look at Kyle Lewis riding the number 15 Yamaha, the Nolene Sizzler team. And there's the big sweeper where we saw on the helmet cam when you were describing the track. Look at that. He's taking a very easy line through there. You really have to be careful going through there or you're going to dump it, aren't you?
Well, it looks like they just put a little bit of dirt on top of the street through there. I mean, it's just as hard packed as you can get. There's all these rocks that makes it really slick. If you drift out of that groove, you get into that stuff they call marbles, and it's real slick. We saw those guys go down on that helmet shot angle, and it's very slick. Now they get into some of the sandier soil. You see the berms there. They need all that speed they can get to come up here and jump this double.
Now this is a battle for second place as they'll come up and look at Larocco. He doubles it, takes over that 2nd spot as number 11, Larry Ward, just kind of took it easy through there. I think Larocco, what he's seeing, David, he's seeing Albertyn has put a lot of distance on that battle for second place. Larocco knew that he had to get around.
Here's another look. Larry Ward just decides he's not going to go for it and take the chance. Larocco jumps it, but you see, he lands on the top, cases it, they call it. When you land a little short like that, the frame drags the ground. It takes a lot of strength to pull that off.
Well, we are in the early stages, Moto number 1 here at Gatorback Cycle Park. We'll be back after this.
I mentioned Emmett yet, and he's one of the contenders. McGrath definitely buried in the field, but he's shown speed. He has the ability to come to the front. The question today is that flu affecting him?
Well, there you see Doug Henry and Ezra Lusk, also Kyle Lewis ahead of them. This is the battle for the 5th position, and these 2 guys had a lot of battles last year in the 125 division.
Right, and I love watching Henry ride. You see how he looks so aggressive? He leans forward, he's going to the front, he's got his sights set on Lewis now. He got around Lusk, and I think he realized that if he doesn't go to the front soon, he's got Kiedrowski coming up from behind. He's going to put pressure on him, so he wants to try to get away, put a couple of riders between those guys. Kiedrowski's very fast outdoors, and Henry knows him.
Kiedrowski, like Larocco last year, got off to some bad starts at times, and then he would work his way steadily toward the front, and we expect to see that again as you see now Kiedrowski. Oh, look at that move. Isn't there a big drop-off over on the right side there that you saw Doug Henry go through, David?
Well, he's just, all the riders, as they come out of that corner, they drift back over to the left side of the track. It's kind of off camera. We're going to slow it down for you. Watch what Henry does. He comes out of the corner, and rather than going where everyone else is, he rides on this wall. On the other side of that, it drops off about 40 feet. But he's able to keep a straight line through there, and he saves a lot of time. Made up time right there on Kyle Lewis. And, you know, it just goes back to what I was saying about Doug Henry. I love to watch this guy ride. He's very creative, and in the Supercross series, he does things really a lot quicker than the other riders. A lot of times, McGrath is the first guy to do a tricky section. Doug Henry is. They learn from each other. He's bringing that to the 250 class now.
Well, Doug Henry trying the inside as they come around the first turn. He doesn't get the bite, but he sweeps out to the outside, picking up some ground on Kyle Lewis. And there you saw Kiedrowski has gotten by Ezra Lusk. Kiedrowski running in that 6th position. This is neck and neck down that 3-story drop. Look at Doug Henry coming on the inside.
Well, he just chops off that line from Kiedrowski. He could sense him coming up the inside, and if he would have left the door open, Kiedrowski would have taken it. And it surprises me how quick Kiedrowski was able to close to the back of Henry.
Once again, Kyle Lewis and Doug Henry battling up front. Maybe they had to slow down a little bit to keep from maybe taking each other out, and that allowed Kiedrowski to catch him. Or maybe it's just because Mike is extremely fast.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, John. And you see Doug Henry again using every inch of the racetrack to try to get around Kyle Lewis, who possibly is holding him up. That's what let Kiedrowski close in.
Well, Kiedrowski to the outside. Kyle Lewis is kind of in the middle. Doug Henry on the inside as they come around that sweeping turn. Kyle Lewis was still maintaining the advantage, but look at that battle as Kiedrowski moving back and forth, searching for a line to get around Doug Henry.
You know, Kyle Lewis is riding pretty good right here, but I think Henry and Kiedrowski really feel the urgency to get around him and move to the front.
Henry certainly looks good. Earlier, Art Ackman talked to him about moving up from 125s to 250s.
Yeah, it was something I wanted to do. Moving to the 250s was kind of my decision, you know. I think Honda, you know, probably would have liked me to go out there and run the #1 plate in the 125 class, but I think they would like to see how I do in the 250 class. And I really, you know, I felt like I kind of won the 125, and I feel like it's time to step up for the 250 and try to go out there and win that. I think, you know, the competition is strong outdoors, but I've always been a strong outdoor rider, so I think I'll be able to, you know, move right in there in the top few guys and hopefully win this thing.
Oh, I think he's a contender for sure. As you see him jump that long plateau right there. Geez, you messed that up and you're going for a swim. We talked about that earlier. You know, I'm glad to see him in the 250 class. He's done all that he can do in the 125. 2 titles in a row. I think he belongs on a 250. It's just going to be easier for him to ride that bike all year long instead of having to switch back and forth all the time.
Well, on the backside, while we were hearing from Doug, he got around Kyle Lewis and moved into the 4th position. And now you see Kiedrowski making a bid for the 5th spot as we get ready to head down that big drop as they'll come around this left-hander, drop at least 3 stories. Then you have to go another right-hander up top. And oh, look at Kiedrowski. Kiedrowski trying to make the move to go into 5th place and just basically got in there just a little too hard. The rear wheel washed out, and he goes down. Now he's trying to refire the bike.
Well, you know, when you fall like that, all that humidity and heat catches up with you. It's so hard to get going again. And he dropped the bike pretty hard. We're going to get another look at it right here. He just tries to go up the inside and possibly being a little polite and not wanting to get out there and do any kind of harm to Kyle Lewis. He goes down the process. A lot of times you bend the bars, you bend the levers, tear the grips, and it really wrecks your concentration for the rest of the race.
Right now, Doug Henry has his sights set on 3rd place, being held currently by Larry Ward. As we take a look at the Suzuki Field Summary, we'll be back with more from Gainesville right after this. John Kernan, welcome you back to Gatorback Cycle Park just outside of Gainesville, Florida. And the man you're watching right now, number 111, Greg Albertyn, is your leader. You haven't seen much of him earlier because he got off to such a big lead. But the defending national champion, Mike Larocco, is beginning to close the gap, David.
He sure is. He's got him within sights. And, you know, this is what Larocco does so well. He's able to get off to a decent start. And he just sets his sights on the leader, starts chipping away, makes these guys nervous. This looks like last year when he was chasing down Brian Swink, but he wasn't able to make that pass. See if he can do it today.
Well, there's the assigned board held by his father, Mike Sr. Let's check in with Art.
Mike Sr., you look very confident in your sign to Mike Jr. out there. He's picking up valuable seconds every lap.
Yeah, and we're just now pushing halfway. I feel confident. He feels confident. We're not putting our foot in our mouth. We're just going for it.
A little non-committal there, don't you think, David?
Yeah, well, you know, last year he was chasing down Brian Swink, and we asked him what he thought. He thought his son was going to be able to make that pass, and he couldn't. And really, Albertyn's kind of a mystery in the outdoors. No one really knows how fast he can go or how long he can go this pace.
Well, the world champion, of course, they don't race the 30-minute motos, right? They do 3 20 minutes.
Well, he's got the endurance. There's no doubt about that. I'm not sure if he's used to this humidity, though. It's definitely hot out there, and he looks pretty good right now. But Larocco, as he closes ground, that's going to make Albertyn nervous, and a lot of guys have their arms pump up when they get nervous. They start riding defensive, and then it's all over.
Well, now we look back at third place. You see Larry Ward. Look at that, David. He's kind of shaking his right hand. I wonder if there's a problem with his wrist, but right now, if that's not the case, he's got a problem with Doug Henry, who wants that spot.
Well, he gets it, too, right up the inside. Doesn't waste any time for that, and that was a weird move by Ward. He doesn't seem to be riding as aggressive as he was earlier. Here's another look at it. It looks like maybe his arm's pumping up and he's just trying to shake it out. You're just cruising through that long sweeper there. Doug Henry just takes advantage, goes right to the inside. I don't know if Larry Ward realizes he's that close already.
Well, Doug Henry has moved into third place. We heard from him a little bit earlier. Been very impressive in his 250 debut. Let's check into Doug's pit now with Art Ekman, who's standing by with Pete Steinbrecher.
Pete, Doug has won one of the biggest victories within the race in that battle for third place. Does he have the time now to catch up to the leaders?
I don't think he's got the time to catch up to the leaders. Those guys, they got such a lead on him that it's very difficult for a rider to catch up unless maybe he can see him a little bit. And as you can see, that they got some time on him.
Well, he's starting to look comfortable now in the 250 in this portion of the race.
Yeah, he likes his 250, and I think for the rest of this race, we're going to have to keep him ahead in third place and try to go after those guys in the second moto.
Well, you know, all you can really do, once you're in third and you're all alone like that, it's a lonely place. But you just try to focus on riding as fast as you can in case one of those riders in front of him has a problem. Then you can capitalize on it. And to think about how the track's going to start to develop as the second moto gets underway, and to sort of have that in mind between races and be able to get out to a quicker start in the second moto.
Now we look at the battle for the fourth spot. There is Larry Ward. He continues to slow. Ezra Lusk moves around, and we saw the number 3 Honda in there. He comes right into your picture, sliding into your living room, and that is Jeremy McGrath, the defending Supercross champion, and just been dominant on the Supercross series this year so far.
Well, that was a pretty strong move on the inside of Larry Ward. Larry Ward definitely has a problem. He's dropped back. Guys are passing him left and right, but McGrath is on the move. He came from way back. You saw how bad of a start he got. And with the flu and the humidity and coming through traffic like that, I'm pretty impressed. You know, he's not an outdoor rider, but he looks good today.
Well, he must have been feeling better because last night I saw him playing some pool. But he did get to bed early, I think. There you see Doug Henry taking that outside line, and now we move back up front as there you see some of the lap traffic as Greg Albertyn appears to have either slowed down or Mike Larocco has sped up because Larocco has caught him.
You saw Albertyn just kind of looked over his shoulder. There's no one where he was looking. The guy he needs to be concerned about is right behind him, and problems for John Dowd. That's that elevator. I can only assume he was trying to do that double jump and went down in the process.
Must have endoed that thing, end over end, Dowd now, and you can see the lever's been on that bike. He's trying to get it refired, and I tell you what, doing an endo up there can do a lot of damage to the bike. We'll have to see how that plays out in the second moto. But now we've got a battle for third place. The Honda Red Rider teammates, Doug Henry, who is in third, is being challenged by Jeremy McGrath. And Jeremy this week sporting a new look. He shaved off his goatee.
Well, it definitely cut down on his drag coefficient. Right here, he's reeled in Doug Henry. We mentioned just a moment ago, Henry was out there all alone, but McGrath on the move, closed the gap, and it looks inevitable he's going to get around Henry as fast as he caught up.
We are in the closing stages of Moto number 1, and Albertyn continues to lead it. Remember, if you're a Supercross fan, outdoors we run 2 30-minute motos plus 2 laps at the end. Things are winding down, a couple of laps to go. Greg Albertyn, 3-time world champion, trying to hold off the defending series champion, Mike Larocco.
Larocco trying everything. He's going inside, he's going outside. He's working on Albertyn. That's going to be good. And here's another battle of the 2 Honda teammates. He got a nice inside pass by McGrath. He didn't have a whole lot of room there. He just sort of made a line. There you get a glimpse of Jeff Emig, who we haven't seen much of, and Mike Kiedrowski. Remember, he crashed earlier. He's regrouped and stayed with this group, and I'm impressed with that.
Well, it's a very impressive charge toward the front for Jeremy McGrath, the Supercross champion, David. The knock on him over the years has been he's not an outdoor rider, but it looks like he's got it together this year.
Well, he has something to prove, and he needs to get it proven in this first race, and that's tough to do with the flu. And, you know, the conditioning that he's in this year, I think, allows him to have this kind of performance being sick.
Well, as we said, 102-degree temperature. Now his mechanic, Skip Norfolk, also has been ill this week. He's standing by with Art Ekman.
After a week of both of you being sick, this is a phenomenal comeback for Jeremy McGrath in this race.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. He seems to be gaining a little bit of strength here at the end of the moto. Jim Anderson and Showa got the bike working really nice. He's able to save a lot of energy because of that, and hopefully it's paying off right now. He looks pretty strong here. We got about 6 minutes left.
Jeremy McGrath's really having to reach down deep to come up with this third place. You know, I mean, he's got to feel terrible. The flu, the humidity, coming from behind, and he looks tired. And I don't think he was seeing that same performance last year. And Mike Kiedrowski's down again. This looks like the same section where Henry was using that fine line up on the edge. It's very technical, and he paid the price.
Meanwhile, back up front, next to last lap, and Mike Larocco, the defending 250 national champion, has finally chased down and passed the three-time world champion, Greg Albertyn.
Well, it's an awesome plateau. You see all the air they're getting off it. Look at Larocco. He's building all his momentum around the outside. Right there, Albertyn missed a shift coming out of the inside. You know, when you use that rougher inside line, it's hard to maintain your momentum, and you're trying to shift in the middle of all those bumps. And that's where it looked like Larocco's making up all his time and where he was able to make the pass.
Well, the white flag out. We're on the final lap. Let's take a look at the pass for the lead.
Well, this is another section on the racetrack where Larocco's making up time. Albertyn felt that he needed to protect the inside. What happened was Larocco went to the outside, carried more momentum, and was able to get more drive out of the corner.
And now Larocco just on a Sunday afternoon ride around the Gatorback Cycle Park through the pits, and the fans cheering wildly. He will come up top of the hill, and yes, there's the checkered flag. Mike Larocco wins the first moto of 1995. Greg Albertyn, the three-time world champion, comes home in the second spot, and he's got to be very pleased with that. A lot of us didn't know what to expect from the world champion, but a fine showing in the first moto. As you take a look at the top five, Jeff Emig in fourth, Doug Henry fades back to fifth. As we look at the rest of the top 10, let's check in with Art Ekman, who has caught up with the winner, Mike Larocco.
Michael, an exhausting, great battle.
Yeah, actually, I felt pretty good. You know, it's the first national of the year, and nobody really knows what to expect, but I got out to a decent start, and, you know, I caught Greg and followed around most of the race. He was making some mistakes, and I just took my time with him, and it paid off.
You like that downhill section for the pass?
Yeah, I'll take it anywhere, really. I mean, the track's got some good ruts in it, so it causes mistakes, but I always seem to be in the way, so I'll take that one.
Good luck in the second moto.
Thanks.
Greg Albertyn swept around Larry Ward early in the first moto to take the lead. He held it until the next to last lap. He is standing by with Art.
Greg, an outstanding battle for your first motocross battle here in the United States Series. Your impressions?
Well, I'm a bit disappointed I didn't win. Mike was going really well. Pushed me right from before the halfway mark, and I give it to him. He rode like a star. I tended to get tired towards the end, and once he bossed me, I was just trying to see where he was quicker than me because he was gaining on me quite a few times. But he rode an outstanding race. I just got too tired.
Gave you a good indication, though, for the second moto.
Well, that's right. I hope I can get my fitness up a little bit and feel a bit stronger for the second one.
And how about the ride by Jeremy McGrath, the Supercross dominator who comes in here with the flu? He finishes in third place.
And perhaps the biggest accomplishment in this first moto was Jeremy McGrath fighting off the cold. And I know you don't want to spend too much time out here, Jeremy, but your impression, you came on so strong, so smooth the second half of that race.
Well, I kind of got stopped up in the beginning. I couldn't ride really good, and I was just trying to figure out the track. I was all over the place. It was so dusty. And then started gaining a couple positions and felt really good, and then just tried to be really consistent. I'm about three-quarter energy right now, so it's pretty, I got to be smooth out there.
Well, even your mechanic, Skip Norfolk, wasn't quite as excited on the sideline as he normally is. He wasn't feeling that great either, but boy, you guys really put it together.
Yeah, we both ended up getting the flu this week, and you know, it's a tough thing. It's not too good at timing, actually, for the first race here. But, you know, just things you have to deal with. Can't tell when they're going to come.
You showed where you brought it from this time, Jeremy. Nice
Thanks.
going.
Thanks.
Moto number 1 is in the books. We will be back very shortly for the start of Moto number 2.